Alright, I will admit some of the wonder of these videos is lost when I know what is in the box. I should never have looked at my pre-orders on Amazon, especially since most of them are made at 1 AM when my inhibitions are low. It's caught on something. Let's try that again. Daredevil going out west. Can I end the video here because I have now to say about this? Yeah, it doesn't even get to the issues that have some modestly interesting ideas in them. This is Daredevil Epic Collection Volume 5. And it has got the first 2 years of issues when Scarlett Johansson became the book's co-star. Not reflected on the cover at all, but let's be honest, I have plenty of criticisms of the cover in general. We open with issue 87, and I usually say I have not read this before, so I have nothing to say about it. But in this case, I have read all of this before, and I still have nothing to say about it. This is a directionless comic, purely put out of obligation. There is no creative spark here. There's now. It's flat out boring, run-of-the-mill, least effort tried, Bronze Age stuff. And who would have thought Gerry Conway would be the writer responsible? If you like Daredevil, you are fucked, because this is mostly a Scarlett Johansson book. When they became co-stars, it was not an equal billing. This is Daredevil's comic. It had been his comic for 86 issues before she showed up. And after that, it became her book. The majority of plots spin out of her or her defection to America. Daredevil's entire supporting cast is abandoned. Is set up as a lawyer. Everything is dropped so that he can go out west with Scarlett Johansson. The supporting cast is mostly Scarlett Johansson's chauffeur. This really becomes her book with Daredevil as an ineffective sidekick. We had a similar thing develop with Captain America and Falcon Man, but the key difference there is that Falcon Man was a Captain America character. He was introduced in Captain America and then graduated to being a co-star. And even in the worst days of that stretch, the book always knew it was a Captain America series first. Falcon Man had a lot of presence and a lot of his own world with the Harlem Gangsters. But it wasn't the case that even in the terrible period where that book was as directionless as Daredevil was, Captain America still fought Red Skull Man. Captain America was still important, whereas here, Daredevil feels completely superfluous. There are stories with Daredevil, but even a lot of them end up focusing on Scarlett Johansson, or they have to deal with her. Many people say Daredevil before Hank Miller isn't worth reading, and stuff like this makes that seem true. But there is some good stuff hidden away. None of it is in this trade, obviously. But I think the first 7 or 8 issues are pretty decent. Great art on those. There is a Silver Age story, Stanley Lee's last story on Daredevil. That's really good. The one with whatever I call Machine Smith. Have I even called Machine Smith Summit? He has to have cropped up in a Captain America issue that I have reviewed. Agent Smith, that is what we will call him, unless I do some research and find out I called them Mac and Cheese Smith or something. Actually, I prefer that. I think later in this run, when Steve Gerber comes on board, the book doesn't necessarily improve, but the stories become at least a tad bit more intriguing. I might be biased because Moongarden shows up for a few issues, and Daredevil, correctly, dumps Scarlett Johansson to gan off and fuck the beautiful bald lady. They should have made the book into Daredevil and Moongarden. That's my 2 cents. Or in this digital age, that is my 2 Bitcoin. I didn't think that would have worked either, to be honest. The problem is, Falcon Man was a Captain America character. Scarlett Johansson was never a Daredevil character. She was, and this is something that I would back up with grounded, concrete facts, she was a failed character that nobody knew what to do with. Until she was in a movie, until Iron Man 2, she was a character that never really worked. People liked her, or they liked her in concept at least, but she consistently had been shoved down our throats in books where she feels well and truly like the odd one out. After her first appearances in Iron Man, she started showing up in Avengers as Hawkeye's girlfriend, and she started dominating plots in that. And if you want to make her into an Avengers character, that is fine. But they gave up on that because I think it plainly didn't work. She was too underpowered on a team that already had Hawkeye and to a lesser extent Captain America. So what follows is just a long list of books that they have tried to make her work in, and then they have admitted defeat after 2 or 3 years and moved her on to the next thing. Daredevil, The Champions, Avengers again. Speaking of Avengers, we have got a little crossover between Daredevil and Avengers. One could argue that it is more Scarlett Johansson backstory rearing its head. I mean, we have an issue where her ex-boyfriend, Hawkeye, shows up, and he is the bad guy for an issue, because he fights Daredevil for her love. I want to point out a bit of continuity that Marvel ignored, or rather Kurt Busiek and Tom Brevoort ignored, and nearly everyone before them was just likely unaware of. People point to the end of this story where Daredevil turns down membership with the Avengers. But before that, in Daredevil issue 99, at the start of the story, they offer him membership and he agrees on a provisional basis. For this one story, he is an Avenger. This should count as membership. The team came to him, asked him to join. He said yes, and they said that he is an Avenger now. and he fought alongside them for one adventure before declining to pursue it. This absolutely should count. Then to battle for Panther, Vision, Daredevil, and Scarlett Johansson as well. Avenge us all. This is a very poor story. I didn't like the stuff in this trade anyway, but I care even less for Steve Englehart garbage. This is Avengers 111, and it is only an issue before he introduced Willow. And Scarlett Johansson dumps Daredevil for about the 12th time. And that brings us on to the other thing about her, and that is she is mostly always a bitch. I understand there is an element of her personality that often provokes this abrasive and cold nature, but it has never been endearing, and she too often is that with little change. She basically just gangs around the Marvel Universe, fucking a bunch of different guys, and then ghosting them. She's really, honestly, one of the least endearing characters at Marvel. And this is from someone who loves Moongarden. Scarlett Johansson didn't work in Daredevil. It is a cute idea, a relationship between the two, and that would have been worth exploring. But like all her relationships, it is a waste of time. It is one-sided. It is a guy falling in love with her while she remains largely dismissive of any commitment. It's my last relationship. No wonder I hate her. Oh, I got me issues slightly wrong. Here is Moongarden. She immediately has more chemistry with Daredevil and Scarlett Johansson. There is also this really random interlude in one issue, written and drawn by Jim Starman, which for the first time gives us Moongarden's origine, genuinely the highlight of this trade. Other than that, it is still a weak story. It's actually, after this, it's the story with Nocturna, and then the stuff with Hydra after that, which I think is at least interesting. I thought I'd not be able to fill a video, and I had prepared some stuff about the history of Babylon Zoo. But it turns out I had plenty to say about Scarlett Johansson being a mean bitch. I didn't recommend this. It no good. Even when Moongarden shows up, it is only ever sexy. It's not good. I will be covering why I get trades like this that I obviously think are bad in my next unboxing video, which is another bloody Daredevil Epic Collection. Daredevil doesn't half have some awful comics. I will rate this one 7 thumbs up because Moongarden was in it, and she is tremendous even if the stories are not.